Hello world. In theory, this is going to be going to both Twitch and YouTube. I don't believe that's actually going to happen, but it's worth trying, right? While that's trying, I'm going to put on some cool tunes because I forgot to do it. I've just been sitting here for 5 minutes not doing anything. Hey, I've completed 5 achievements in Twitch apparently. That's cool. Music. Playlist. Am I actually streaming on 2 different places? Hi, Ivan from YouTube. Someone needs to jump on Twitch and confirm that I'm actually on there. Alright, so if this is actually working, I'm going to be floored. So I'm using this what is it called? Restream.io, and OBS is directed to stream towards that, and then that in theory is sending it to YouTube and Twitch. Although in that window it's saying that it's connecting and it's stuck on this little connecting loop thing. So hey YouTube peeps, say yes if you can see/hear me, please. I don't know how to tell how many people are watching you on Twitch. Let's see. According to this, there are 11 eyeballs, but that's total views. That is not who's watching now. Okay, excellent. Hey Shane, go over to Twitch and look for Josh Foreman and see if I'm actually streaming there. Can you hear me? Alright. Okay, so my Restream.io now says a little checkbox on Twitch, but it still says it's connecting to YouTube. So apparently that little swirl cannot be trusted because I am definitely on YouTube. And I guess one of the biggest things I need to be sure about is that, like, I'm not that the pipe bandwidth that is going out is big enough to go to both places. So if I'm dropping frames or whatever, please let me know. But man, this would just be a super cool solution if I could literally stream to both at the same time with the same content. So regarding the art I'm working on, hey, if you are following me on Twitch for the first time ever, my name is Josh Foreman, as you can tell by the channel name, and lately I've been doing a lot of Zbrush sculpting, although that's not exclusively what I do. I also do a lot of traditional sculpting as well. You should check out my YouTube channel. I should figure out a way to put a link to that, but I do not know how to do that yet. And I'm putting lots of little bumps on this Scolla fella. This is a character from a book that I've been developing along with my co-author Rose Foreman, and it should be coming out this year. I'm doing this for a book cover. I'm sculpting this guy in Zbrush. I'm gonna print him out, 3D print him, and then photograph that 3D print for the book cover, which sounds ridiculous unless you've ever tried to render and have a stupid non-technical brain like mine, in which case you'll know why I want to do it this way. Rendering is super hard, you guys. Okay, so I'm noticing right now that I'm putting the bumps on this side of the arm. Well, no, I guess it's pretty similar. The bumps get smaller near the creases, and I think that's okay. That's right, Slack Dragon. Super nice itty bitty bumpy wumpies. That has always been my goal in life. Shane says he can't talk on my Twitch stream because he needs to be following for 1 day. Huh, that's a dumb rule. I wonder if I could change that rule. Parker Brosa says, I'll render it for you. Hey man, I appreciate that. It's something to consider. Getting the materials and stuff right is, I think like I'm too picky about that kind of thing to outsource it, but maybe. Let me show you, I can show you what I've got on. Let's see. My first rendering test. Come on, where's my, there we go. Breath of Life. Photos. Okay, where's my, here we go. Okay, so here's the, okay, so this cover on the left. This cover right here is my best attempt at rendering. And then these other ones are just very placeholder. You know, I'm not done with the sculptures. I didn't even try. I'm just like throwing them in just to get a sense for how the books aesthetically progress. But yeah, the idea is like each of the characters from the book it's a sculpture of them done in a material that's kind of close to, that matches their character or physical attributes in some way. Yeah, so anyway, if you can render better than that, which I'm assuming most people can, hit me up at breathoflifeart@gmail.com. We'll talk. Are you guys getting feedback? Are you hearing my voice echo seconds later? I feel like I'm kind of hearing it probably coming through Twitch. Materials are tough for organic things. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to sidestep that by making, like, these are supposed to be sculptures made of stone or bronze or whatever. But even that is proven quite difficult for me. Hi, Aletha. I wonder if no one can comment on Twitch because I have some stupid settings set. If anyone knows how to change your settings in Twitch so that anyone can comment regardless of how long they've been following, let me know. Ivan says, it's looking pretty good. And also about my project, which I talked about in the last stream, just failed. It was way out of my league, and I started making a horse, and I can hear you just fine. Okay. So doing all those elemental limbs was, you know, probably doing two things at once like that, making it both part of a creature and trying to mimic something as difficult as fire or water. Yeah, I would probably recommend just try to make one element first. Like, try to make a campfire for orcs or whatever, for like a miniature tabletop sort of thing. Practice that a couple times, and then you can start thinking about how how to form that fire into a limb of some sort. Slack Dragon, you've always wanted to learn ZBrush. Yeah, I've actually been talking to people about my plan that I talked about last time for doing a Intro to ZBrush class series, which I think would be super helpful because everything that's out there right now doesn't tend to hit the hurdles that most new people of my caliber hit. And by my caliber, I mean like not very technically inclined. And so for those of you who weren't around or forgot, the idea is I'm going to get one person who's never used ZBrush and one expert in ZBrush, and we're going to sit down, and the newbie is just going to start, you know, trying to do stuff, and we'll hit all the typical hurdles that you hit when you start ZBrush. A lot of which is like not knowing how to save the project, not knowing how to get out of a mode that you accidentally went into and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited to do that. I think I still need to talk to people at work because I think it'd be best to film it at work where we've got all the computers and everything set up. But I need to clear that with legal to make sure that's okay to do. Shane, you are not a noob enough. Although once I start doing some intermediate stuff, maybe I can include you. But I need someone who's literally never opened the program before. Ops Billow, this is a family-friendly stream. Please use family-friendly insults. Yeah, Shane, you're pretty bad, but you know how to save things and that sort of thing. And how to, you know, once you open a file, how to drop it to the canvas and that sort of stuff. Yeah, I forgot. Every stream I keep saying, "Oh yeah, I need to take all this like creepy stuff out of the playlist," and then I keep forgetting. So, thanks for the reminder. This is only 20% less scary, but it'll have to do. And I am definitely hearing myself echo through my headphones. I wonder if that's only going to the Twitch channel somehow. That doesn't really make sense. How do I mute? How do I mute you, Twitch? Settings. No. Oh, there's volume. Okay. See if I keep hearing it. Looks like I still have 0 people. Oh no, I have 2. I have 2 people watching me on Twitch. Woohoo! I'm famous. Who's a famous Twitch streamer? I have no idea, but I'm as famous as them now. Parker says, I hear it, but it's not bad. Slack Dragon says, I hear a faint several second delay. Yeah, I think that was Twitch. Pretty sure I have my YouTube muted. Yeah, I did not have my Twitch muted, so. Shane says, Blender is anointing, but I sort of know what I'm doing in it. I don't hear an echo. No, it's too late to change it to annoying. You said anointing, so I assume it's some kind of religious ritual. Yeah, I need to learn Blender myself. I took some tutorials several months ago, but because I want to do some indie game development, and I cannot afford Maya. Although I know you could do a monthly thing, but I think even the monthly payment is pretty ridiculous. It would be nice to be able to use what I already know and use at work. I need to look into that again. Mordecai says, now I can hear after rebooting my PC. Oh, wow. Hopefully that's not something I'm doing wrong on my end. That's right, Shane. Blessed be the Blender gods. Who'd be a good god for Blender? I think Loki would be pretty good because he likes to create a lot of chaos. And whenever I try to use Blender, I end up creating a lot of chaos. Plus the particle systems that they have in there for like smoke and fire and stuff make some sweet chaos. Yeah, actually, that's why I think Blender will be good for you to learn, Shane, because you can do specialized effects that you can put into your finely crafted films. Parker says, Blender Guru is a great intro to Blender. I think that's the one I was following. Someone I had to sign up for their mailing list and then got a cheat sheet printout. It's like 3 pages of common keyboard shortcuts and stuff. That was really helpful. Shane says, is there a way to randomize the bumpy texture? So I can rotate it to randomize it somewhat. I don't know about procedurally doing it. I could, instead of a drag rectangle, I could use a spray, which, yeah, that'll definitely randomize it pretty good. It's definitely a lot faster, but because it's overlapping them so much, it ends up quite a bit noisier than I want. I don't know if there's, let's see. Actually, there is, look at this, placement 0.5. Let's try putting placement at 1, see if it oh, look at that. Overlaps less. Still pretty spotty. Although I could go in and hand fill after that, I suppose. Let's see, scale, I can adjust that. Mouse average. Huh, let's try 1. Not sure what that's doing. It looks like that might be putting them closer together. I think the flow is how many come out. Yeah. Nasir, hello. Slack Dragon says teleportation ape should be an adventure. An Avenger. Yes. Pitch it. Pitch the idea to Marvel. Yeah, you should email Stan Lee. Just be like, I know you didn't come up with this character, but he's so cool. He should be in your movies. And he'll be like, yes, it's not too late. Avengers 3 comes out in, what, like a month or something? They could probably squeeze in teleportation ape. Especially if you offer to do the special effects. You could superimpose him in whatever scenes they need, which I assume would be all of them. Okay, I'm going to turn the flow down. Shane is suggesting to turn down the spray intensity and spread. So I think... flow colors. I wonder why spacing is not an option. Let's see, if I do this, and this, and this, does that get me like, you know, 80% of the way there? It looks like it might. Let me see what it's like compared to the other arm. Hello? There we go. Looks like I need it to be a little bit bigger. Although, let's see, if I switch back to drag and do larger ones between and overlapping them, will that work? I feel like it probably will. And then this random spray that I did just kind of fills in the gaps. No, Nasir needs advice from Aletha. I'm looking forward to this. That's a good point, Shane. You don't want Stan Lee to die from excitement. He's very old. Maybe don't email Stan Lee, just email Disney, and Disney will probably give you permission to insert Teleportation Ape into the new Avengers movie. Let me see if I can put a link to Teleportation Ape in here. Go to my history. Right, here it is. That's a quick preview for you guys. This is a really quality film because it has a guest appearance by Josh Foreman, who's a very famous YouTube celebrity. What if I blur it a little bit and then do that? It's not better than just doing this. Both are bad in different ways. Oh yeah, Teleportation Ape could be the newest Disney princess. I'm trying to imagine how they're gonna do his ride at Disneyland. The Teleportation Ape ride would have to like make it look like your roller coaster is like zapping from place to place. which I guess you could probably do with like smoke and mirrors, literally, like a big smoke poof and then mirrors like shift angles and then suddenly it looks like you're in a different place. I don't know if all these differently sized scales are doing it for me, but let's look at it with a couple different materials. I guess it's really not looking at any crappier than this arm. Big time saver. Thanks for the suggestion, Shane. Here's my advice, Nasir. To impress a horsewoman, what you need to do is, so when school is out of session, whatever classroom you guys are in, during the night, tear down a big section of the wall that leads to outside. So like a 12-foot by 12-foot hole in the wall, right? And then you rebuild it with either paper mache or styrofoam bricks. And then, repaint it so it looks exactly like it did before. And then when class is in session, and you're sure she's in class, you ride a horse through the wall, and then just like casually get off it and sit down at your desk. I think that will really impress her. Maybe have a boom box that's playing some awesome music of some sort. I'm trying to think what would be good music for smashing a horse through a wall into a classroom. Like, would it be heavy metal or techno or like an 80s love ballad? Oh yeah, Wrecking Ball. Good advice, Shane. I came in like a wrecking ball. Or just sing really good like that. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever heard that song. I think I've only ever heard people refer to it. Is that Miley Cyrus? Is that who does that song? Whatever you do, don't play the music that's playing on the stream right now. That would just be creepy. Unless it's like you're riding a black horse and it's got like blood dripping out of its eyes. In which case, this is the perfect music for that. God. Hey, hon, can you do your best to remind me to delete a bunch of stuff out of my playlist after this is done? I know you won't. Shane, this is your job too. Yeah, if you're wearing Grim Reaper attire or like the Black Riders from Lord of the Rings. This is the tricky part, is figuring out how to blend is the dumb word for it. There's a better word, but how to get these two different scale patterns to merge together. Because if you look at reference of any reptiles, they do not have the same scale pattern over their entire body. The reason why, I believe, is because the scales cover skin that bunches and folds in different areas, and the more the skin has to bunch up and fold for, like bending your limb or, little fingers or a mouth or whatever, the more flexible it has to be. The scales tend to be smaller and less bumpy, because the bumps will like bind up the skin underneath, make it harder to move. And so on the bigger areas like a back or the long side of a tail or whatever, they can be more fancy shapes and more three-dimensional, because they're not impinging on the movement as much. This is my theory of scale design, which I think is borne out as I've looked at lots of reference. Ivan says, Josh, I'll be honest, the process you are going through right now looks painful to me. uh, it's not the most fun part, but I actually kind of enjoy it. It's kind of relaxing. There's a little bit of tension to it just by the fact that I'm doing it publicly, and so I feel almost like there's some obligation to be more entertaining than what I'm doing, but ultimately the art needs to come first. So you'll simply have to be entertained by my dulcet tones and clever wit. It's comforting to see other streamers who do Zbrush and other kind of CG art, and they just sit there and do their thing for like hours at a time, hardly talking at all. It's like, well, they can do that, so can I. Nasir says, life is painful. Get over it, brother. Shane says, creative digital art is difficult to do and takes patience. Personally, I hate having to use the pen tool in Photoshop, but it makes all the difference. Yeah, it does. Especially if you have momentum and the tablet is like somewhere else, you don't want to have to like hook it up and whatever. That's why it was really important for me to get my workspace set up in such a way that I just have to move my arm and pick up a thing and plop it down. I don't have to go find a thing, futz with it, plug it in, blah blah blah. Like, getting your working area optimized is way more important than I would have thought. it's easy to fall into bad habits just based on laziness. Linda, hello. Yes, better late than never. Eric says, if you juggle flaming objects while doing Zbrush, it would really set you apart. Oh man, I'd have to learn to do Zbrush with my feet or juggle with my feet. I don't know which would be harder. Ivan says, who would do that? Well, that's what Eric is saying, is it would set me apart, because no one's doing that. If you want to be set apart, you just got to do stuff that no one else is doing. Makes sense. Or just be, you know, a cute young person doing the same thing everyone else is doing. That's another option. Assuming you're cute and young. Sadly, I am neither. You'll have to rely on my wit and charm. All right, I really want to emphasize this fun little fold that's going on here. Now that I have the scales down, I can follow that pattern of the scales to make it a little more interesting than just a straight tapered line. Shane says, Slack Dragon, for what I've seen, both are important, and I think if anyone would want to go into that field, they should learn both. But that just what I think. I only know what I've seen from Josh. Oh, which was answering, let's see, Slack Dragon said, which would you say is more marketable, physical or digital sculpts? With the advent of high-res 3D printers, is the line blurring? The line is blurring, and the need for physical sculpting is almost completely gone. Like, everyone I know who sculpts for the toy industry, for the film industry, for the game industry, they all do it digitally. There's pretty much no logistical reason to do things in 3D. There's still a little bit of 3D sculpting that goes on set design, like if you know, you're sculpting caves or props, you know, real size props and stuff. But even that is, now they've got really huge CNC machines where, you know, if they're going to build a spaceship for like the show Lost in Space I've been watching, I guarantee that was all sculpted in ZBrush, and then they used CNC machines to print out the parts. So to me, the sculpting by hand in real life is just, it's just a Okay, I'm going to use this word because I can't think of a better one, but it actually doesn't mean what you think it means. It is a sensual pleasure, meaning that the senses of touch and feel and probably smell to a small degree. That's the only reason to do traditional sculpting anymore. Is the process has an impact on your senses that doing it on the computer does not have. Oh, and I guess the other, well, this probably also falls into that category, but the other reason you would do traditional 3D is if you want your final piece to be done in a particular material, like marble or wood. You know, if you're doing subtractive sculpting, um, that's still better done by hand. Although, again, they have CNC machines that can take a log and whittle it into your 3D shape that you've done in ZBrush as well. So, um, still requires a lot of finishing work at this point, but it's only a matter of time before it can do all that for you as well. So yeah, depending on how you look at it, it's either very sad or very cool, or both. I think it's kind of both. To me, the most exciting part of making three-dimensional things is the design aspect more than the actual execution aspect. I enjoy the execution aspect, but the design is my favorite part. And so in that sense, doing it on the computer makes no difference to me. In fact, it's better on the computer because I can iterate faster, and therefore I have better designs because more of my time can be spent in conceptualizing and testing out ideas. Whereas in the real world, you're committed. There's such a time commitment to realizing any particular concept. Slack Dragon says, I would love to be skilled at both, honestly. Digital scratches at that lifelong itch. Van Morta over on Twitch says, ha, dual streaming. That's right, Van Morta, you are officially my very first comment on my very first Twitch stream. Congratulations! Congratulations! I should give you a prize or something. Email me at breathoflifeart@gmail.com and I'll find some prize to send you. Here, I'll actually put a link to it. I'll try. Mike2272 over on Twitch says, did you work on the Griffin statue that was shown at PAX? No, I did not. That was outsourced to another company. I would have liked to have. I used to work at a place that did trade show sculptures like that back in the mid-90s. The one piece that was in the shop when I was working there was a very little known incredibly crappy mascot for Sony's PlayStation. It was their first mascot they tried, and it was called Polygon Man. Very creative. And it was like a purple head with spiky, like purple hair spikes, and just like a super generic default face. It was terrible. Van Morta says, Josh, I can finally rest after getting all 16 Toad weapons from SAB Trib World 1, but instead I get gallbladder pains. Damn, it's like I'm back in World 2. Oh no. I'm super impressed that you're able to do that. I have not even done that. But gallbladder blains, that's no fun. Yeah, my wife Heather went through that and had to get her gallbladder removed. And the irony is she still gets the pains because of a condition called sphincter odi, which is like certain drugs can still set off whatever to like...
Dilates the common bile duct.
Oh, it dilates the common bile duct. And then she ends up still getting those incredible pains. So, dude, that sucks. I've had kidney stones. I have not had gallbladder stuff. But yes, any of those kind of mysterious, painful signals in your body, those were definitely the inspiration for Super Adventure Box Tribulation Mode. Okay, how are we doing here? That's pretty good. I think I probably want to continue these largish lumpy bumpies around most of his neck. Probably onto his... It's tricky. I'm still not sure what I want to do for the face. Right now I have these kind of very subtle, very small fish scale or like underbelly of a salamander scale for his face. And so it makes sense for his bottom lip for that whatever texture's up there to continue down onto his belly. In fact, I should probably just do that and then have these kind of slightly larger bumps be more kind of the back and top of them. That would make sense. And Morda on Twitch says, yep, I most likely would not have done it alone, but I did it with a guildie, and we just worked off joking, doing the whole thing in a few days. Wahaha, so my character is rocking the infusion. Nice. That's gotta be, I feel like that's probably some of the most satisfying gear that you can have is this SAB Tribulation Mode stuff, because it's just like so incredibly I mean, it's such a mix of just pure brute willpower, also with execution skill. Yeah, like getting your legendaries and that kind of stuff, it takes a lot of grit and determination to do all the grinding and farming and stuff, but it doesn't necessarily attest to a huge amount of skill, whereas the trib mode stuff definitely does. Alita says it's so awesome that you can stream on both at the same time. Yeah, I cannot believe, and it just worked the first time. It just worked. That has never happened to me. I mean, it took me a month and a half before I was able to stream just to YouTube, like have a pattern down where I wasn't always trying to fix some random thing or another that kept not working. So I am totally shocked. We'll see if I'm able to do it from my garage. That's going to be the tricky part. Right now I'm like my laptop out there that I was using for all my garage stuff is it is not acknowledging the existence of my nice camera. So tried hooking up another computer out there, but then that one's having different types of issues. So yeah, I've got some garage stuff coming up. Well, or I'll be doing some more physical sculpture stuff, but not until that thing's fixed. But yeah, that'll be exciting to see if I can keep this up. Slack Dragon says, I think I might focus more on digital sculpting going forward. I saw a video from a studio that acquired Frazetta licensing, and the 3D printed maquettes were very impressive. Yep. If you want to make a living doing sculpting, yes, I would definitely steer you away from focusing on traditional stuff. Traditional stuff is fun. You'll learn some stuff, but I don't know that the amount of time that you sink into learning like some of the peculiarities and specifics of how to deal with three-dimensional physical material is worth it when it comes to just getting valuable skills for the marketplace. Alita says, because I did not want to have to make a Twitch account. Exactly, I did not want you to have to make one. Slack Dragon says, I was on Topamax for migraines with the side effect of kidney stones. I feel for you. Paying a stone is murder. Oh, passing a stone is murder. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Heather has had migraines all her life, generally almost every single day. And she just started a treatment relatively recently that's had some promise. Like, it's actually made a pretty marked improvement to where seems like it's only, what, once or twice a week you get migraines now?
I've only had 2 migraines in 5 weeks.
Oh, 2 migraines in 5 weeks.
I started going to the University of Washington Headache Clinic, and the director of that, she's a neurologist, but she's actually, not all neurologists are headache specialists. Not at all. It's like so different. So this neurologist who is the director of the Migraine Institute, she's actually a headache specialist, and there's only 2 in Washington State, maybe 10 across the U.S. But yeah, I started going to her, and it's the craziest thing. It's not that I added medication, I actually took medication away.
Yeah, what is the procedure that they do where they thread the thing up your nose?
Oh, well, one of the procedures is called an SPG block, and it's, I don't know, I'd have to look it up what it stands for. Blah, 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 groin grill, whatever.
SPG block?
Yeah, but basically they thread up lidocaine. They thread up like kind of like a catheter type thing. It's just really weird. I mean, if you've had sinus surgery, it's nothing like that. So it's like not going to be that weird because it's just odd having anything sort of.
It's basically sticking a pain-killing agent directly on the trigeminal nerve. It
is dropping lidocaine onto a cluster of nerve cells that are actually far back and behind the nose, like the bone of the nose, and those nerve clusters actually, it's where the trigeminal nerve runs through, and so the lidocaine, what it's doing is it's blocking that signal because our trigeminal nerves tend to reset. Well, all of our pain and muscles and nerves tend to repeat, sending pain signals to the brain, and so people with migraines have very sensitive systems. Their brains do not turn off. Their brains are aware of everything: sight, smell, taste, like sounds. Did I say that? Everything.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things that go into it. Like I just learned that, you know how your lymphatic system helps drain stuff, like, and clears waste and everything. Well, during sleep, your brain does the same thing, but it's literally called glymphatic.
Glymphatic?
Yeah, with the
Sounds
G,
like they made that up.
But it does it during sleep, and it's really important because your brain, it basically, it's a cleaning cycle that it goes through, and it runs out toxins and all kinds of like chemicals and stuff that you don't need. But people with migraines, there's a whole thing that they usually go through, which is also insomnia, which you also have low serotonin, either you low serotonin production or uptake. So that's why you see a lot of chronic pain or chronic migraine people who are also depressed. And so
not to mention being in pain all the time is
because
tends to make you depressed.
Well, but yeah, being pain, the system of being pain, and it's doing your autonomic nervous system, is flooding your body with cortisol at the wrong times. So then you're not producing serotonin. So one of the easiest ways, if you can't get outside because you're in too much pain, is getting one of those tiny little sunlight lamps. They're super tiny. It's connected, it might not reach. It's not gonna reach. But basically you need to get a little lamp that gives off at least 10,000 luxes, L-U-X, and that actually produces serotonin. It's kind of like what they use for the SAD lamp, like seasonal affective
disorder.
Yeah, and because and you don't want to do it too late in the day because you need serotonin.
Tells your brain it's time to get up and be busy.
You need serotonin to create melatonin, and most of serotonin production is about 90% is actually produced in your stomach. Has nothing to do with your brain. So that people also probably have. There's a lot of stomach disorders that go along with it too. So your body isn't getting the serotonin, therefore we're not getting any help in our brains that block pain signals. And
Slack Dragon says they also suffer from neurofatigue along with persistent migraines.
That's why, wait, what?
Neurofatigue? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why the lymphatic system is really important. So part of the treatment is making sure that you're taking vitamin B12 supplements, like at least 1,000 a day, and milligrams, I think. And then, get your vitamin D3. Vitamin D3, the number 3 is important. Get at least that, like 2,000. It's called micro, so it's like UC. I'm totally forgetting because I'm trying to reset my Instagram, and the code that they gave me doesn't work, and I'm kind of pissed. Anyways, so let's see. Yeah, it does all this stuff, and so you need serotonin and dopamine to feel good and to block pain receptors. If those things are not if you're not creating it, then there's nothing to block the receptors of pain. And so all the signals go into your brain, and your brain interprets it, and it's just, it's on alert nonstop. So there's so many different systems, but what I did was actually it made my life easier, and I've had chronic migraines since, I think I've had them since I was a kid. I just didn't know that it wasn't normal type thing, and so I didn't even use the term migraine until
yeah, you just thought everyone's heads hurt all the time.
So it was probably, oh my god, is that a spider? I swear to god. Ugh, I don't know where that is. I'm wearing all black. That was weird. Yeah, so,
Slack Dragon says, yep, B12. My neurologist put me on that straight away.
But none of that is going to work if you are on medications, a lot of migraine medications, in fact, that actually increase this chemical or this protein called CGRPs. And CGRPs are important because when you have chronic migraines, they found out that level is hot. And so things that, you hear the term rebound migraines or rebound headache. I mean, all it does usually, like my entire life of all the neurologists and, doctors, they just we just take it too much. Well, that's not really, they don't even understand the science behind it. But they're not headache specialists. They don't even know that the rebound headaches are really CGRP levels. And so what I actually had to do was go off all medications that do that. And you ease off, right?
What's examples of medications? Like Excedrin migraine was one, right?
Excedrin migraine, all NSAIDs, anti-inflammatories. If you're taking them, more than 5 to 7 times a month, you are increasing your brain and the CGRP. And the weird thing is, you actually, in a way, just when you're in pain and you think, just thinking about taking medicine for migraine, your brain actually rewards you and releases dopamine. So it sounds really hard and scary, and you know what? It turned out it wasn't that hard or scary, because this neurologist was unlike others that they're like, oh, just cold turkey, and it has nothing to do with any of that. So it's absolutely amazing. So the only thing I take is Aleve, which Aleve never did anything, but that's because I was taking ibuprofen and all this other stuff that raised their CGRP levels. Other things that raise it, apparently, I think like Xanax, Imitrex, any of those actually boost it up, which is ironic. That's why Imitrex, part of it also is they say only like 5 times, or no more than 5 times, 3 times a month. It's kind of crazy. So those abortive type medications are not what anyone with chronic migraines and pain should be using, because you can't tell when it comes. It's always there. So yeah, with helping, a lot of help came with those with the SPG blocks into my nose. They're uncomfortable and weird, and lidocaine is gross and it tastes gross, but whatever, it works. And it actually took away all my facial pain. Like I never understood, even when I was little, how kids like just rest their hands or their face down in their hands or arms, because it hurt so bad. It felt like I was pushing on bruises, and I thought that was normal. I mean, I assumed that, I didn't even know that it was technically hurting because it was normal. But I just didn't, I was like, man, doesn't that hurt? And kids would say no. And so now that I'm older, it's because trigeminal nerve, everything is angry. Angry, angry, angry. So you help the systems. And so,
Bye, Ivan.
So some medications that you're on, you'll have to obviously, you need to definitely, none of this is cold turkey. You should try to find a true headache specialist. They are certified headache specialists. They're not a neurologist. They will be a neurologist, but there's an extra certification that makes them a headache specialist. I know that was all over the place, but
if I could sum up your advice, it was find a headache specialist, not just a default neurologist, but a neurologist that specializes in headaches, that has that certificate, and then it's SPG block is the name of the procedure where they put the Novocaine on the trigeminal nerve. Lidocaine.
Here's the thing. Even easier, because Josh isn't quite saying it right.
Definitely not.
Best thing to do, Facebook me. I have a public page, I also have a private page, but you can email either one. And I'll respond of all the things, and I will figure it out. I know that my neurologist, she's actually certifying 2 other neurologists, so pretty soon in the state of Washington we'll have 4 headache specialists. But they are like, the Midwest I think barely has any.
Slack Dragon says, my migraine started continually after I woke up to a bleed in my cortex from a congenital arteriovenous malformation. I'm pretty sure that's a Harry Potter spell. Yikes, so that sounds like actually physical trauma of some sort to the brain.
Yeah, and so that would need, obviously, a neurologist to actually be healing that, and then also understanding the migraines. Oh my
gosh. Let's see. Catch up with Twitch. Van Mortis said it was great, referring to the tribulation mode stuff. We did it so much we ended up syncing up together and doing things at the same time. Oh wow, that's impressive. Was amazing. Trib mode is a bit harder since you can't checkpoint your teammates and get DC'd if you try to join in on someone else. Lost some time with that happening. Yeah, we had to make it so you couldn't cheat the system, you know. And then Damon says, once you get enough follows, people will be able to pay to sub to your channel. You can also set up a bot with commands. Going to get the lawnmowers ready for the season, so switching to mobile. David said, the Midwest what? He's being salty. Yeah, there's a lot of things you're going to miss out on if you live in the Midwest, apparently.
But, I mean, my neurologist is like super passionate. Is very passionate about like teaching everyone and whatever stuff.
Slack Dragon says, bleeding down my spinal column. Yikes. Yeah, I'm no medical expert, but I recommend not bleeding down your spinal column. Well, Damon, I know you're missing out on stuff in the Midwest, but keep in mind, you have that we don't have in the Northwest is White Castle. You can get soggy sponge burgers, and we can't. So, have you ever had White Castle, hun?
No.
They're literally steamed burgers. Like they cook them in the bun with steam.
Why
It's the grossest
would you
thing.
want that?
I don't know, but people
Why
like
does
it.
that hold up?
I don't know. I tried it once or twice when I lived in Michigan, and both times I was like, wait, why is this a thing?
Is it just like fall apart?
No, it doesn't fall apart. It's just kind of smushy and mushy. Damon says, no White Castle here, but we have Runza. Oh, I've never heard of Runza. Does it give you the Runzas? But yeah, Slack Dragon. If you want more detailed information than what you hear mumbled over the internet, you can email me at breathoflifeart@gmail.com, and I'll get you in touch with Heather, and she can fill you in on more detailed details.
This is amazing.
Nasir says it's like a donut burger. No, not really, because donuts aren't steamed. I would like a donut burger, one that's like deep fried in a vat. Oh, that'd be great. Like if you just took a McDonald's cheeseburger and put it in the McDonald's fry vat, I'll bet that would be incredible. Damon says, a runza is like a bierrock, or however you spell that. Meat and fixings sealed in a bread wrapper. Oh, it's not a place to eat. It's a type of food. Okay, I feel like a lot of Eastern European countries have an entree that is pretty much that. You just fold, cabbage and meat and whatever in between. It's basically like a European wonton. Getting close to being able to get back to the symmetry, which will obviously speed things up considerably. Slack Dragon says, since then I can't work, but getting benefits is impossible because I don't look sick, quote unquote. So I'm hoping to hone some latent artistic skills into a somewhat marketable skill. Yeah, my brother is undergoing the same thing, trying to get disability, and boy, they do not make that an easy process. Apparently, it's designed to be as hard as possible, and you absolutely have to have a lawyer in order to get it done. And even then, no guarantee. Slack Dragon says, I always eat White Castles when I get home to St. Louis, and I always wonder why nostalgia folks fools me every time. Yeah.
It's like the gross, dirty lake smell at Moses Lake, and you're like, yeah, it's rotting. And you're like, but this is home now. When before you're like, oh God, I'm just gonna die.
Yeah, it's amazing how smells do that.
This took so long.
David says Runza is also the name of the chain. Oh, okay. So there's a chain of restaurants called Runza that makes Runza. Or Runzas. Grimalkin says, I feel you, man, that my afflictions are mental. I'm too disabled to work, but not disabled to get disability pension. Yeah, I hope we humans figure out a way to deal with the full spectrum of, humans that exist and are able to evaluate their worth outside of their economic benefit to people. It's not the best system we got going right now. I mean, well, it's the best we've had so far, but it could definitely be improved. Slack Dragon said, I had a disability lawyer and he dropped my case. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't, my brother's lawyer was very confident that they were going to get it on this last go round. It was like, I've never seen it get this far and, not go through. And then, surprise, it didn't go through. So I don't know if my brother still has that same lawyer or not. Oh my God, Brown Neon, you're the worst. Just the worst. Damon, do you know how many people I need to have on Twitch before I can, what did you call it? Not certified, but whatever, become a proper real channel? Yeah, that'd be awesome to get subs on Twitch. Whoa. I just found out that if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free sub on Twitch, and you get to watch it commercial free. I have been watching it with commercials for years while having Amazon Prime. I had no idea you could hook that up. And then I was able to give my my free sub to Extra Credits because they're awesome. Grimalkin says, lol, poor Josh having to put up with our whining. You know what? I'm super good at putting up with whining. It really doesn't bother me at all. when you are married to a person with chronic pain and you hear like legitimate, reports about their pain on a continual basis, it kind of builds up an immunity. Although I guess if I heard people actually like whining about stuff that's not chronic pain, actually that might annoy me, come to think of it, because I'm used to dealing with the real thing.
I don't whine about it.
No, you don't whine about it. You're very just like matter of fact about it. Just the facts, man.
It's like,
Yeah.
It's normal.
Exactly.
One of the best things you can do about pain is not be afraid of it. And just be like, you know what, it's just pain. Because actually, pain is literally just a brain signal. And how we change our emotions toward it, it's amazing what it does chemically, too. Like, just, even subconsciously. Like, today's another day. It is what it is. And I'm going to do what I can and not stress about what I can't do.
Yep, that's the mature, practiced, master approach to dealing with pain. Yeah.
I've grown up with pain, so in a way, it's always been there. However, if I could imagine, or maybe I couldn't imagine, I don't know, that if you're like, do, and then something happens, like a sickness or whatever, then you have chronic pain, knowing the difference is like worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
what it was like to not have pain before.
I mean, that's a huge change chemically, physiologically, but I can't say that word
physiologically.
Right now. Yes, and emotionally, and everything else, and another best thing you can do is if anyone in even your family, friends, relatives, whatever, anyone makes you feel bad or guilty about it, politely step away from those people.
Yeah.
Because
try not to spend time with people who minimize your pain.
And I'm a part of a lot of different like Marfan syndrome groups on Facebook and Ehlers Danlos or EDS groups. And unfortunately, it's so terrible, but there are a lot of people whose spouses even leave them. However, I mean, we only hear and see what the story that they want to see. And while there are some just like a-holes, spouses, then it would be terrifying to be left. However, in the long run, it'll be a lot better if you can change your perspective. And you can always change your perspective. So, I mean, I know some people who are like, or I've known people over my many years who have used it as a tool against others.
Use their pain to manipulate people.
And so, be aware if you think you might accidentally be doing that, and just ask. Like, clarification, asking to clarify, goes a long way in relationships, in friendships, and family.
Yes, it does.
It's all about intentions, and if you think that somebody might be like thinking negatively about you or thinking that you're whining, clarify. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't whining, I was just like narrating. Because I narrate, oh, that hurts, and then move on, and then I don't even remember I said it like 2 minutes later.
Oh.
It's just kind of like sometimes your body, it helps to just like, okay, I acknowledge that that's happening, but that's okay.
Grimlickin says, I live on 150 AUD a fortnight because the government sucks. Let's see, is that Australian dollars? Every 2 weeks? That sounds untenable. Sorry, man. Slack Dragon said, I even considered deliberately putting on weight to qualify for disability. Oh, God. Have you seen that Simpsons episode where Homer does exactly that? It's pretty hilarious. But I don't recommend doing that for real. That's the one where he ends up with a moo-moo. And he's trying to dial his phone. He's just like mashing it. And the phone goes doo-doo-doo. It looks like you're trying to dial, but your fingers are too fat. Please mash the keyboard to order a dialing wand. Anyway, funny episode. Not funny in real life. Don't do that. Gremlikin says, don't bother with Twitch. You know, I wasn't bothering with Twitch for like 6 months. Or how long have I been doing streaming? At least 6 months. But I kept getting people saying, Josh, you should really do this on Twitch. There are so many people like making a good living doing this kind of thing on Twitch. I was like, well, because A, I don't know how, B, my whole audience is on YouTube already, and I have no one who knows me on Twitch as far as I know. So abandoning YouTube to go over to Twitch would be ridiculous. But then, yeah, I asked around, and someone was like, yo, restream.io, and I just tried it today, and it turns out it actually works, so I can do both at the same time, so win-win. Everybody wins. And David says, looks like you a minimum of 50 followers and 3 concurrent viewers over the last few streams. You also have to apply somewhere. Okay. Good to know. Got goals to strive for. Damon says, not going to Twitch. Excuses are a sunk cost fallacy. Maybe. I mean, yeah, I guess I have no way to tell if it's a sunk cost fallacy or not because I have no way to put a number on my chances of doing better on Twitch. But fortunately, it's not a difficult decision I'll have to make. So, Grimelkin says, "This is looking great, Josh. Is it a reptilian creature of some kind?" Yes, it is a character named Scolla, who is in a book that I'm developing that should come out this year. And he's somewhat reptilian, somewhat amphibian. And just a great guy to have around. Nasir says, does that work with school pain? I assume you're talking about these pain strategies. That's a good question. I mean, actually, like, the pain of doing things you don't like is kind of a special pain, but I mean, it's also in the same way. It's like, it is a brain path thing that you can kind of teach yourself. You can either let it go or you can like work really hard to change your attitude towards it. So similar, I guess. Gimmelkin says that's an excellent approach. Physical pain is tangible though. As in, yeah, there are signals being sent through your system, whatever, but it's still ultimately it's getting interpreted by your brain.
Yeah, and your brain's only going to interpret what it sees the most threatening. So ironically, people who have chronic pain in one area, they could randomly go in for like a CT scan or MRI and find out, oh, did you know your back was broken? You're like, oh no, because my wrist has been hurting my entire life. Like, it's amazing at the things that we don't realize because there's an overload, and sometimes it's simply just a repeat in the brain signal. And so learning how to stop that repeat, because sometimes, a lot of times it's not even accurate. Like,
yeah, it's just like an echo.
Yeah,
stimulus
it's
echo.
And you could, I'm not saying that it's not hurting, I'm just saying your brain isn't able to tell the difference that it's not an emergency. So if it figured out that it could calm down, it's not going to be sending these signals all the time. Or it'll be less severe, or you'll find out a leave actually can help for some reason, because a leave has never done crap. But also, I've gotten rid of all insects. I'm not taking anything. The only thing I might take is because I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I'm metabolized through medications quickly and weirdly. And there's some muscle relaxers that work and others that don't. They actually make me hyper. But there's one that actually helps with my EDS pain, especially at night, and helps me sleep. So I take that one at night, but technically it's on the list to get rid of.
You gotta stop taking it.
However, I believe, so there's been a few very successful studies done, FDA approved, of it'll be an injection that actually blocks the signals of your CGRP levels. So I'm totally forgetting the word. So basically, even receptors, there we go. Blocks the receptors from CGRP. And so they figured out this study that they ran through injections was very successful. So they thought, okay, well, let's try it in a pill form. The pill form was not okay in that it actually isn't super great for the liver. So they're going back to injections, which, again, great things. And it didn't harm liver things. So I believe they're coming out with this medicine available maybe in the fall or something. But they're getting close to marketing it, or it's already ready to be accessible at some point, very soon. But
you don't know what it's going to be called, though?
No, I have not looked it up. I mean, I just don't remember it. I don't remember the company, but anyways, it's going to be cheaper than Botox, and that's another reason. Like, if you tried Botox and it didn't work for migraines, it didn't work for me either. Well, I was also on medicine that created a whole bunch of CGRP. So even it just rendered some things that are actually really helpful, it rendered them useless, like Botox. But Botox also with EDS, it's just not a good idea for my muscles. And obviously I didn't need it, oddly enough.
No. Grimmelkin says, I make myself feel guilty because I know I have no reason to be so damn unhappy when there are so many others out there with worse lives than I could imagine.
Me too, and I think
Heather feels the same way.
I think that's actually kind of a good sign. I mean, it's terrible, but it also, I think, signals that you have empathy, right? And sympathy and compassion for others. But the bad part is you can have that without the guilt. And it's very difficult because you always feel like people probably see you as a problem, or
that can lead to depression by itself, just feeling like other people have to do stuff for me all the time. I'm just a drain on everyone around me, that sort of thing. And it's like it's difficult, especially depending on how you're raised. A lot of people are raised in such a way that if anyone has to do anything for you, it's like a moral attack on you. Like you're a bad person if people have to do stuff for you, and that can definitely wear on a lot of people. I've noticed. Yeah, you feel weak, you feel helpless, you feel like you're inconveniencing everyone around you, like they probably would be happier if you weren't around.
Especially when there's like, oh, now there's a new thing wrong. Like, I just had to have, during all my things, I've never been helpless, I think. But this surgery on my arm, my left arm, like, I have 5 incisions from my bicep all the way down and through my thumb, because apparently I had torn my thumb off of the attachment, the joint where it connects to your wrist, but I just never knew it. So, and I didn't have pain to tell me that, but that's probably because I have pain to tell me everything else that's going on. But anyways, having this surgery on a limb, oh my God, so helpless, so annoying. I mean, Josh has had to help me do like all my showers. I just can't, because I can't use my thumb. And so now I can remove the cast that's on my thumb, but I'm not supposed to use my hands. And I fall and my balance is kind of ridiculous, and you know, I got some angry looks from my hand physical therapist because I keep using my thumb to catch me for some reason. It's just always there. Rule of thumb, don't use the thumb right now.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's annoying feeling like you're helpless. And you're like, I know I can do it, but you're not supposed to. So that's another thing. You have to be able to let yourself heal. And if you have an injury, especially a soft tissue, it takes even longer to heal than a bone break. I mean, assuming it's just a normal bone break. But it's frustrating. And you can only heal the right way. You only have one chance to do that.
Slack Dragon says, when I started having spatial issues, unintentionally drifting left while walking, my doc told me to play first-person shooter games. I said with my eyes locked on my ex-wife's, so you're giving me a prescription to game? That's pretty funny.
There was, when you walk one way, that is so funny. My friend and I literally just talked about this last night. I should ask him what he said, but what you want to do is have somebody, if you're walking, say like you're walking and you're leaning towards the right. If you have somebody walking next to you pushing you even more to the right, you'll have to engage those muscles to push back. So you want to think about the opposite muscles that are not, and even opposite sensors, the brain, if they're not working. So if you feel like you're even going to push or fall over even more, your body has to activate so that you don't. And now you're actually activating those muscles, nerves, connections, everything that you need that should be activating to get you more upright, like whether it's on the left side or whatever. But that's
so actually counter training or whatever.
Yeah, because when muscles and things get over tight or overused or whatever, those are the signals. And I mean, just like even if it's a rib, right? It's because one side is weak and not engaging. So the other one keeps pulling and pulling because that's the one doing all the work. So you keep, that rib keeps pulling closer and out towards that side that's doing all the work.
Linda says, I just started Twitch and I follow you there. Thank you, Linda. Yeah, actually, I should probably ask anyone who also has a Twitch account. Apparently, it would be helpful if you guys followed me on Twitch because then I can do this thing that Damon was saying I need to do. What did he say? I need to become a lawnmower. No, that's not it. I need to become a bot? No. Oh, become a partner. Okay. I need to become a partner, which requires a lot of people.
But I checked, I am not a robot.
Yeah. Steven says, ZBrush on the couch. Dig the detail. So is ZBrush up on a TV. No, I just got I have a pretty crazy setup where I've got two monitors on a double arm thing that I can swing back and forth on the couch. That's a project I've been doing over the past several years is finding ways to build workspaces around me in such a way to accommodate like my maximum flow, so I can get the benefits of having all this amazing technology and opportunities around me without having to constantly be moving stuff around back and forth, and because that just makes me less likely to do the work. So I put in a lot more work up front to make things more accessible to me. Like on my bed, and this is, if you have insomnia, do not do this. I don't usually have a problem with insomnia. I set up a TV at the foot of my bed, and I can put on lectures. I have like this huge, gigantic library of lecture series about history and biology and geology. I like all the, just so that I can fall asleep to learning stuff. And I've got like a thing so that I can edit. I got a tablet so I can edit my manuscripts on there. It just flips up and back, etc., etc. Anyway, yeah, it's just a project I've been doing over over the past several years and finding huge benefits to that. The older I get, the more the more time becomes precious to me, and the more my life goals are becoming what's the word? More salient. Like, I have to pay closer attention if I want to ever get these things done. So that was a really long way of answering the question. No, it's not on my TV, it's on my I just have my computer set up in such a way that I can do it on the couch, which means I could also dual wield when I'm watching TV with Heather. I can be watching Longmire or whatever, and then also be editing videos or sculpting or whatever. So yeah. Grimalkin says, that's really interesting. I didn't know that about brainwaves echoes. I'm sorry you have to put up with that. And yeah, no worries. I have Twitch to use Curse Client for WoW mods. Don't know what that means. I know what WoW mods are. I don't know what a Curse Client is. Slack Dragon says, is Zbrush the de facto digital sculpting program for the various entertainment industries? Would that be the direction you'd point me in? Absolutely. The only other program that even comes close to it is called Mudbox, and I don't even know if that's still being supported anymore. And that only ever got to, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15% of the market would be my guess, based on the friends I know who are in the film industry, and then obviously what I know from the game industry. Yeah, it's all Zbrush. They have cornered the market. Which is both kind of cool, but also kind of frustrating, because they just have such an obtuse, bizarre user interface that doesn't match any other computer programs out there. And so it always makes workflow kind of wonky. But what are you gonna do? Like, they've figured out, I mean, they're really responsive to users, except for those fundamental issues, which would require redoing the entire thing from the ground up, which I'm guessing they probably might have been working on for the past several years, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah, in other words, yeah, Zbrush is the future, and I plan on doing some tutorials for it because of that. And the other really cool thing about it is that compared to other 3D graphics programs, it's super cheap. I don't know why, but they're still under $1,000, which $1,000 is a lot of money. But you want to buy Maya, $7,000. You know, so yeah, the fact that they've kept their price so attainable to indies is very admirable. So in general, I find them a pretty cool company, and I'm glad if anyone cornered the market, it was them and not Autodesk, because Autodesk is seems to be the corporate evil overlords that only pay attention to one or two segments of the market and completely ignore the rest. Which is not meant to be a judgment on anyone who works at Autodesk. That just seems to be the pattern of their output. I know from working in software, there are a million billion reasons why what we end up putting out there is not our best face. It's not what we wish we were putting out there. There are just so many factors that make it incredibly hard to take software to market, and you can never please everyone, and okay, all those caveats, because I know I've suffered the slings and arrows of people telling me I'm a bad, evil, selfish person because I worked on a game that, you know, they had one problem with. Grimalkin says, Curse Client is the platform through which WoW mods are created and hence downloaded by players. Gotcha. Oh, hey, I got an achievement in Twitch. I've, let's see. You've completed 6 achievements. Oh, it went away. I think I had 6 viewers. Anyway, awesome. Thank you guys for helping me out with that. Really appreciate it. I assume there's probably a big untapped market out there of people who would not do Patreon to support me, but would do a subscription in Twitch because they already have an account there and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a big ask if you're not already supporting people on Patreon to go over and do support there. So it's exciting to get over to Twitch. Gremilkin said they recently partnered with Twitch, though, so I was forced to create an account. Oh, I see. So they used to be kind of freewheeling, and now they're making you, what's the word? Bow to the man or whatever. Gremilkin says, damn, this is why I don't work digitally. Why so expensive? Well, here's the thing. If you want to make complicated software that does complicated, amazing things, you need to hire really talented software engineers. And also, you tend to be in an expensive area because you're trying to attract top talent. Top talent usually live around big cities. In big cities, the rent is astronomically high, which means you have to pay pretty big salaries to these people just to get them to live. On top of that, they have to be about the best in the field because as a software engineer, you could make a ton of money working on really easy, boring stuff like spreadsheet software or something, right? So if they want to get the top talent, they need to pay people more than these places that pay them to make boring stuff, which is a lot easier for them. So because the work is a lot harder, you need more talented people. Those more talented people need to be compensated much higher. Therefore, to make software costs a lot of money. Does that answer your question? That's my best understanding of why software is as expensive as it is. Slack Dragon says, is it strictly modeling sculpting or does it do full rendering? Animation? Can it do animation rigging? So it's flirted with all of those things to a certain degree. You can kind of do those things, kind of, but you're never gonna like put the final product out there in the marketplace and say, here's my awesome animation I did in Zbrush. It's more like as the animation stuff is like more for prototyping stuff, I would say. The rendering, I mean, it's gotten better. Here, I'll just do a BPR render real quick to show you. You can futz with it quite a bit to get results that I'd say are like maybe 70% up to where like the really good renderers are, if you spend a lot of time with it. But yeah, I mean, so you can kind of see it'll cast shadows. You can do all sorts of different material stuff. What most people do is they render out like 5 or 10 different versions of the image done with different materials on it, and then in Photoshop they superimpose those and use those as layers to manipulate stuff underneath it and such. So yeah, I mean, to answer the heart of your question, it's ZBrush is for sculpting. You can do some other stuff with it, kind of, but it's for sculpting. Which is kind of ironic because originally it was for 2D painting, and they just kind of had a 2.5D mode, and that's what evolved into becoming this sculpting stuff. Which is one of the reasons their interface is so wonky and weird, and the core engine underneath it is just not industry standard for 3D software. Like, after, I don't know, 12 or 15 years, however long it's been out, they finally got this gizmo where you could just move stuff by pulling things around. Before that, they had this really weird, like, I don't even want to try to describe it. It was awful. It was just terrible. And they finally got that industry standard thing in place, so. Damon says, you'll get my free Twitch Prime sub as soon as you're able. That's $2.5 a month, which Twitch takes half of the $5 sub. Okay, thanks, Damon. I appreciate that. They take half, huh? Do they take half of everything, like the tips and stuff? I know the way tips are done is with some other, like, intermediate thing. I assume they get their cut from the sales of the glops or the drips or whatever those things are called that you can tip to people. Because one of the big things I hate about YouTube is they take 30% of tips. It's just like, man, if someone gave me $100 tip, knowing that $30 of it went to YouTube, it would just be really obnoxious. Oh, speaking of Twitch, Damon, do you know how mods work on it? Like, how can I make you a moderator of on my Twitch account? You've been really good on my YouTube account, so you've earned the promotion. Damon says, the higher tier subs, they take less. Tips work different, but Twitch doesn't take any of it that I know of. Okay. Yeah, that's what I figured, is that was the point of them making that secondary currency, is so they don't have to take part of people's monies. They just take part of it when you buy it. Because they're selling you this currency, this magical currency they made up, and then you tip that to Twitch streamers that you like, and the Twitch streamer gets paid X amount, whatever Twitch decided their funny money is worth. So it works out good for them. Damon says, try right-click in me. Alright. No, I'm just getting an open link in new tab and stuff like that. Grimmelkin says, fair enough, I'll stick to physical pencils and paints. Yeah, that's the cheap way to do it. And it, you know, it's got a joy all its own that you won't get on the computer, so. Slack Dragon says, I can't give anything via Patreon in my current financial situation, but I'll gladly give you another Twitch sub. Excellent, Slack Dragon, I appreciate it. I would never want anyone to feel financially burdened by helping me out. That's for sure. Damon says, the idea is subs get no commercials, access to channel emotes, sub-only perks that you decide, etc. Sorry, hands all oily, can't type well. I'm impressed you're still watching this stream while you're working on lawnmowers. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, Grimalkin and Slack Dragon. Here's the thing, like the best kind of support that a creator like me can get is people interacting on the streams, talking to me and to each other, and you know, shares and likes and comment. You know what I mean? Just stuff that makes the algorithms pay attention to my content and say, oh, maybe we should direct other people that way. So you guys are definitely a huge help regardless of whatever money you may or may not have. And I super appreciate it, sincerely. You know, the reason I do this is because I've learned so much stuff online from just rando strangers who are like, hey, I know this thing and I'll answer your questions. And that's just been such an amazing development in human history. I'm like, I need to be a part of this. I need to be out there helping people in whatever way I know how, and here's the thing I know how to do. So man, I should be helping people do this more. So yeah, you guys are the reason I'm doing this, and the money part just helps me get better hardware and solve problems that would be more difficult to solve without it. So it's like, yeah, leave that to people who can afford it, and you guys just be here to talk to me and share my stuff. Van Morda on Twitch says, I believe you could make someone a mod by clicking their name and click lightning bolt symbol type mod. Okay. My only concern is if I click a name, it's going to take me off of whatever I'm on. That shouldn't stop the stream, because the stream is coming from OBS, going to Stream.io, and then feeding directly to Twitch. So, all right, we'll find out. If Twitch dies and goes away, we'll know why. But I'm gonna attempt to click on his name. Oh, it was drop down. Excellent. Mod user. Boom. Modded. Oh, I could add him as a friend too. Nice. Thanks, Van Borda. Appreciate that. Keep up that kind of behavior, and someday you could be a mod. Just imagine it. A mod of a Twitch channel with 5 viewers. And I really shot myself in the foot by I was mirroring these bumps in some places and not others, so I can't really go in and do this detail pass on both sides at once. I don't think. No, let me see. Does this actually follow? Till it gets about there. Okay, so I can do some of this detail work mirrored. That's good. Van Morda said, been there. Oh, you're Mordekaida. Excellent. Okay. You switched over to the dark side of Twitch. I appreciate it. Thank you. The more YouTubers switch over to Twitch right now, the better it is for me to achieve whatever that thing is that I need to achieve in Twitch. Grimalkin says, I can't log into Twitch for some reason. Connection time's out. I'll try again later, my dude. Thanks, appreciate it. And then, well, if it helps, I showed my mom your Sculpting series. She loved it. Showed it to her twin sister, and subsequently, she and my 2 cousins love it too. Awesome. That's exactly the kind of word of mouth I'm looking for. I have been told by many comments that series is like super helpful and something they're not finding other places, and that's exactly what I'm trying to accomplish. Wouldn't be wasting my time if you can get exactly the same stuff from someone else who's already doing it, probably better than me. Slack Dragon says, your Sculpting 101 series is what made me a fan, exactly the info I needed, and presented in a lighthearted and fun way. Now I'm itching to scrounge up a copy of Zbrush. Excellent. Yeah, hopefully I can do for Zbrush exactly what I did for Sculpting 101 and just make it a really fun, lighthearted series that is actually super helpful to people who are just getting into it. Gremlin says, same Slack Dragon. Was looking for tips on sculpting hair and stumbled on it. Binged the entire series in a night. Oh, wow. Nasir says, anyone excited for the Witcher TV series? It's cool. Actually, I almost said something really stupid, which was I'm more excited for book series becoming TV shows than for games. And then I remembered, oh yeah, it is a book series before it was a game. So yeah, let's see what they have to offer. That's cool. More awesome fantasy out there, the better. I do wish someone would make a fantasy show that's more along the lines of Lost in Space, which is more family friendly. Like, I love Game of Thrones and I love Altered Carbon, but there's just so much unnecessary sex and over-the-top violence. It's like, it doesn't bother me personally, that stuff, but it does limit, like, who else will watch it and who I can talk about it with, and you know, makes it like I don't want to watch it with my son, you know what I mean? And that's annoying. Like, I like stuff I can watch with my son and my parents without feeling awkward. Gremilkin says, I'm apprehensive about the rumored Silmarillion series. Favorite book, and they already ruined The Hobbit. Well, I highly doubt it's Peter Jackson and company who are doing the TV show. That's Amazon, right? Is doing the TV show. I don't think it was Silmarillion. I thought it was straight up Lord of the Rings. But I haven't been following it too closely. Maybe you've heard something more recent. I heard they're spending $1 billion to do 5 seasons, or they've committed $1 billion to the series. I would be shocked, although I haven't heard one way or another, if Peter Jackson was going to be involved in any way. I agree, they did absolutely ruin The Hobbit. Oh, by the way, I'm going to share this link. Not Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Ellis did this fantastic series. There we go. Anyone interested in what happened with the Hobbit movies should totally watch this. Put it in Twitch as well. But yeah, that's quite a lot of behind-the-scenes shenanigans and obnoxious, sad things happening in the production of those films.
Hey, I sent photos.
You sent a photo to where?
Facebook.
Oh, Facebook? Oh, okay, yeah. Here's a chance for people to see behind the scenes. Where? Oh, here we go. That's what I look like. Look at my pudgy belly. So cute. Tickle, tickle, tickle. Yeah, so this thing is on a, this whole desk apparatus is on a swing, or on a arm that I can move in and out. And I have, a keyboard, wireless keyboard and mouse tray that I can just like move over here or move back as needed. So There you go. Behind the scenes. And it looks like, did I just see a message from James Portnow? I feel like I did. Just saw your post. You're welcome to stream on our channel sometime. Woo! And hook me up with some folks who can explain streaming stuff. Cool. James Portnow is the writer for Extra Credits and a friend of mine. So, and he also has a kind
friend of mine.
Not a friend of Heather's. No, she hates it. No, I'm just kidding. She's never met him. Extra Credits is an awesome channel, man.
I would not be a good person to help on Extra Credits.
You'd be surprised. You can help in all sorts of ways on Extra Credits, actually.
What do you know of this game? Nothing. What about this? No, what?
They're not all about games. They also do books, history, like everyday design stuff too.
Oh, you should
they're
ask.
really branching out.
Since we had the chronic pain topic,
Mm-hmm.
is how do people read comfortably? Because I used to read a lot, but it finally dawned on me why I don't read anymore. And there's all these things I want to read. It's because my joints and ligaments are so loose that I don't even have the support to lift.
Yeah, you can't hold a book in front of your face for extended periods of time. Yeah.
Book because my body is not supported. My ribs aren't even in. My ribs are. They do whatever the hell they want.
Yes,
My ribs are stupid and partially dislocated all the way down the spine. There has to be something. I was looking at. Well, I was at Target and I sort of like looking at the stuff that they had in the books and it's like, huh, interesting. None of that would help me, but I wonder if there's. I don't want to have to rig something up, but if you can. It'd have to be something that could attach to a shelf and like long bend and just hold the book for you.
I mean, we got that arm bendy thing. I mean, you got one for my thing.
But then you'd have to like
attach a book
undo
to
everything just to like turn a page. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, I'll bet there's stuff out there for that.
Oh, well, that's why you get a Kindle, and then you get a thing to hold the Kindle. But it's like,
good point. We should get you a Kindle.
No.
I need a Kindle because I'm publishing an ebook and I have no ebook reading platform, which is ridiculous.
Well, you can get the Kindle app.
762018 says hi. Oh, is Linda? Okay. Hi, Linda. What a name you've chosen for yourself on Twitch. Don't have to worry about people.
Identity.
Identity theft with that one.
They're like, that's just not. No, I don't have time for it. I'm too busy. I gotta do laundry. I don't have time to steal that identity.
Oh, Slack Dragon, I am using a tablet as well. It just sits in front of my my keyboard and mouse.
Hey, you have a tablet. You can
like maybe you meant a thing that I was actually drawing straight onto the tablet. No, I don't like those because I haven't found one that has zero lag yet. All the ones I've tried have lag, and lag sucks. Hey, it doesn't bother a lot, all the other incredible ZBrush artists I know, but man, I can't handle it. Grimmelkin says, I lie down to read. I have Pudge to lean the books on. Haha, just started reading Dragonlance. Isn't Dragonlance a whole series of D&D books? I believe I read some of those. I think I read mostly Forgotten Realms. I'm trying to remember if I read any Dragonlance. Slack Dragon says, love my Kindle. Aletha says, I didn't have a Kindle for a long time, but then Mom gave me one, and after a year of it laying around, I finally set it up, and it's really nice. Plus, I can support fellow authors without going broke. Yeah. Let's just take a moment to remind the millions of viewers right now, the best way you can support authors that you like is to leave a review on their Amazon page. Leave a review. Oh my God, leave a review. Please, review. That is like the one thing Amazon cares about when it comes to deciding whether or not to promote your book or direct people eyeballs towards it or not. How many reviews does it have? Especially for indie authors, man, if you can go on there, Amazon book, say I read it, I liked it, I recommend it. Just, you know, take a minute and a half. You will totally make their day. Hey, hon, you still around? No, she wandered off. I'll tell her what you had to say, Grimalkin. Oh. Grimalkin was saying to you, if you have trouble sitting up at a table to eat, try a stable table. Tray with a cushion on the bottom. Thought just occurred. I mean, right now she's having trouble eating because she can't use her left hand because she had surgery on it.
Well, we have a table that we moved.
Yeah. She also has trouble eating because no food appeals to her and doesn't make her sick in one way or another.
Well,
that's the bigger problem.
Actually, it's not that a lot of foods make me sick. My
do.
body, I had gastroparesis, and so my body can't, like, my intestines won't move, like, fiber and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It makes you sick. Like, it makes you physically hurt in some way or another.
Well, I had
you can't eat potatoes, you can't eat broccoli, you can't eat breads, you can't eat...
Endoscopy tomorrow. We need to
your endoscopy's tomorrow. Exciting.
We get to get up really early and drive all the way to Seattle.
Yay. Thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot. Grimalkin says, yes, 165 book saga. I'm only going to read the end of Age of Despair. Well, that sounds like a pick-me-up fun summer read. Nasser says, I can never read online. I still read the old way with hard copies.
Me too. That's the thing. I write in my books. And my books, I don't really... Well,
yeah, do they have a notation system on Kindle?
But then you have to type, and that's the whole point. I don't want to use my hands for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe they do have things that you can really...
highlighting is one thing, but writing in the margins...
App. You got a tablet.
Yeah,
any tablet gets the Kindle app, and then boom, you have Kindle.
Yeah, the vast majority of the books I read are done for kind of research purposes, and so...
And that's like mine.
So yeah, I always need to take a lot of notes. I think that's one thing that's kept me away from digital so far. Grimalkin says, Sam, I prefer to curl up with a good book. I only read digitally if I really have to. Nasir says, also, other thing that makes me prefer physical copy of book is the art of the cover and inside the book itself, mainly because I read comics. Oh, well, yeah, there's a big difference there. Grimalkin says, sounds like hell, Heather.
Oh, it's not. There's way worse people. Like, I'm about to go.
She's just like you. She always thinks of the worst people.
I'm about to go for a walk right now, and I know all these things are going to hurt, but whatever. Everything, it doesn't matter. It's going to hurt anyway. So if it's one of those, like, it's going to hurt anyways, I might as well go do something that I want to do.
Indeed. Yeah, I have no idea how she has the positive attitude about life that she does. It blows me away.
It's because I'm punny.
Because she's punny. She likes puns, that's why. Nasir says, I'm like Heather when it comes to eating. My options are very limited. I basically hate everything.
And I don't even care about food. Like,
yeah, she doesn't care about food.
I've been off gluten, and so it basically took away cravings. I mean, it's super weird because our brains are addicted to gluten. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It's only bad if your body hurts your intestines. But, I mean, I eat food because I have to.
Yes, you do.
I've had cookies and coffee so far this morning, like 2 cookies and
her
some
diet
coffee.
of gluten-free Oreos, coffee, ice cream, and sometimes chips with cheese melted on them. That's pretty much her diet 90% of the time.
I wish I could eat broccoli. Oh my god, avocados. Ugh, delicious. I wish I could eat Brussels sprouts, but no. Fruits, no. It's just not worth it. Although I do consume a lot of lime juice on my nachos. And salt.
Indeed you do.
Salt's good for that. So, okay, I'm gonna go for a walk on that trail.
All right. Oh, you're driving to the trail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, we're still going to the store when you get back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me why this song is stuck in my head. Tell me why it's playing on repeat. I listen to this song. I don't want it that way. There you go. That's great stuff.
Slack Dragon is calling us paperback Luddites. Yes.
Did you say something?
I was just talking to folks here.
Oh, because you're
talking?
Yeah. Wait, is this for us?
Grimalkin says, I don't think it's the same, Nasir. Feed. She has physical restrictions. It's not just a simple dislike. Yeah, I mean, you learn to dislike stuff that hurts you, right? But it's not, yeah, it's not the same as just like, oh, I don't like the taste or I don't like the texture. It's more like, I don't like feeling in pain.
That was fast. Literally less than 24 hours.
Nasir says, no, I'm like Heather with that point. I really care about food. To me, it's like a spiritual experience. Okay, Grimalkin, you go feed your fish. Yeah, Nasir, I care way too much about food as well. Like, it's a psychological anchor for me to eat stuff that I like. And I wish it wasn't, because it sure would be a lot easier to get to my ideal body fat percentage, which I will probably never achieve. I really wish Zbrush had some kind of interface element that would tell you when your brush is in mirror mode, so I would quit having to be like, oh wait, am I still in it? Yes, I am. Okay. I've ruined so much work and wasted so much time because I either thought it was or was not in that mode when it is, or was not. You know what I mean. Van Mortis says, I say buy hundreds and hundreds of copies. That's also a really good way to support authors. Buy hundreds of copies as hundreds of different people and do hundreds of reviews as those hundreds of different people. Or, you know, recommend books that you like to people that you know who are into similar things. I've probably bought, I don't know, 80% of the books that I've read based on, you know, other people saying, hey, this was really good for this reason in real life. I do not read a lot of reviews online. I just kind of assume if I don't know the person writing the review, that their opinion about it is not necessarily going to be the best representation of how I would interpret or react to the book. But apparently lots of other people do, so it's important. Slack Dragon says, 5 AD, Thaddeus, are you still reading scrolls? Haven't you heard of books? Thaddeus, I just love the feel of the papyrus and the act of rolling scrolls. There you go. I'm sure there were people like that. Yeah, next time I stream from the garage, I'm actually going to be putting ink on actual papyrus sheets. So that'll be exciting. Malcolm says, my fishies are fat like their mama. Excellent. Nothing like a fat, happy fishy. Hey Josh, have you heard of the artist Keith Thompson? He's excellent and a good friend of mine. I can't link his site. Keith Thompson art. Check it out. Keith Thompson art. What? You gotta click a lot of times to get to any actual art. Oh, fun. Yeah, very nice stuff. Some of it gives me a little bit of, suddenly I'm losing the name of an artist I really love who did like Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, all those fairies and goblins books. But yeah, kind of like that. Got fun little lore with each of these things. It's cool. It's really cool. I'll save this and check out some more later. Thanks for the link, Grimalkin. You know what, I feel like before I do much more detailing, I really need to figure out what I'm going to do with the where the little spines intersect. Because they shouldn't just like randomly poke out of the middle or the side of a scale. There's probably some kind of specialized apparatus around it. That's an interesting thought. It just kind of mounts up on them like that. I'm also thinking for molding and casting this guy, if all of these little spines are sticking out like that, that's going to be a huge, huge pain. So I'm wondering if I want to tilt them all down. At this point, it'd be easier to just reinsert them all. I mean, if I was just 3D printing, it'd be fine, but molding and casting is where these become problematic. Man, yeah, pulling all of these out of a mold would tear that mold up so fast. But if I tuck them all down against the skin, they're not going to look like spines either. The other option for the molding process would be to actually cast them separately and have little holes you put them all in, which would mean every sculpture would require, you know, another several hours of work. Which doesn't sound super fun, I gotta be honest. I don't know if it's best yet to just do like the best version of it and then go back and clean it up or make whatever revisions it might need for molding and casting. That's probably the best way to do it. I'm assuming I could just like stretch out. So like, for example, if I was going to work on this spine and make it mold friendly, I would probably need to go in, let's see, mask off the top half of it, and then use a big move and like, oh, try not to get all the other guys. Move like that. Yeah, and that is just not ideal, is it? Robin Slee says Froud. Slack Dragon says Brian Froud. Grimalkin says Brian Froud. Yes! He's the one. Thank you, everyone. Grimalkin says he's mixed media. He draws the lines by hand and then scans to Photoshop to do the coloring. Yes, the struggle of small details. Jennifer, hi Jennifer, says it's always frustrating when Medium can't get the details you're looking for, especially when you already put in so much work. Yeah. Well, I think what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to worry about making the sculpture, you know, representing the character, and yeah, I'll figure out what to do with these spines for molding and casting later. You know, I want to be careful not to make not to accidentally overemphasize the technical side of things to the point where I'm limiting myself creatively. I think that's my concern. Yeah, these are like specialized scales that tend to droop from the weight of the spine on them, or the quill, or whatever it is. And when he inflates, that's gonna, like, you know, say this is the scale and this is the spine hanging down. Then when he inflates, it would naturally kind of like pop up, which is what I'm wanting to go for. Robin says, how about making the back panel detachable? That way you can cast upside down and avoid any undercuts. Yeah, making it in pieces, casting it in pieces is definitely an option. It's just like with this amount of undercut here, whichever way I put it, it's going to have to be pulling in and out of that rubber really aggressively. So if I cast it with a really soft rubber, it'll be easier to get in and out, but soft rubber breaks down a lot faster and can tear, and then I end up with these like big chunks that I have to clean up afterwards. So yeah, I don't have a good answer yet. Oh, and I just realized I was doing that work with with symmetry turned on, which means I have these random bumps in random areas now, because I didn't want the spines to be symmetrical. Jennifer says, totally off topic, but anyone else have a PS4 and looking forward to a new game called Dreams? Looks like a game artists would really love. I don't know if I've heard of that. Check it out. Dreams, PS4. I got a PS4 Pro, so I can see lots of really pretty things. Wow. Is it VR? No. Media Molecule. Did they do those Sackboy games? Little Big Planet? Or am I... So that's one else. Oh, that's definitely looking Little Big Planet-ish. Yeah, looks really interesting. I'll definitely check that out. Jennifer, thanks for the tip. Grimalkin says, I just want the new Dragon Age and the new Tomb Raider, but DA4 most of all because of cliffhangers. Did they leave Dragon Age 4 or 3 on a cliffhanger? I've not played those games, sadly. Seen a lot of art from them because they've got some fantastic creature and character design in there. How's the new Tomb Raider? 2 recent installments of Tomb Raider. Did they have DLC, or are you just talking about the reboot? I started the second one not long after it came out, and I felt really guilty about putting it down just because, you know, it's just got incredible art and great set pieces and blah blah blah. It's just like there's so many games out there, and so much of it was just stuff I'd done before. I felt like I really needed to spend more time focusing on game experiences that I have not had. Probably played halfway through it, I would guess. Robin says, anyone try detailed sculpting like this in the Blender sculpting tool? I just can't afford Zbrush. I have not. I've seen some tutorials, but I haven't tried it myself just because, you know, I already have Zbrush and I'm familiar with all the controls, so. I can't imagine that they could ever get to the point of really competing with the tool and feature set of Zbrush, but, you know, I'll keep an open mind. Jennifer says, we'll have VR, and yes, they did. Grimalkin says, not my kind of game. I might check it out, though, because it looks interesting. Yes, they broke my heart. Damn it, BioWare. The reboot, yes, I quite like them. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the upcoming one, looks so damn awesome. Something to do with Mayans or solar eclipses. Okay, I haven't seen anything about a third one. That's cool. Yeah, I'll probably check it out, despite what I just said. Yeah, they're, you know, those guys and Uncharted, you know, Naughty Dog games, God of War, it's like so many, so well done environments, just so beautiful, jaw-dropping. I just finished the last Tomb Raider with the Lost Legacy, is that what it's called? The one where you play the woman and have the other woman sidekick. I thought that was really neat, the way they made the dynamic between them different than it was with the, you know, the brothers or the buddies. You know, it was really well done. Is that, yeah, I definitely feel like the little swelling around each one is the right way to go. Let's see, I have it set to Dynamesh with 1000 resolution. Let's see if I lose anything valuable by re-dynameshing. Actually, let me save it first. Jennifer says, that video he played does no justice. It's like a suite of tools to build your own game, but you can also do so much more than make your own game, i.e. make a movie, art, etc. So is it it's a console-based kind of art/game development engine. I mean, that's definitely what Little Big Planet was kind of angling towards. And has been doing more and more of that as the sequels came out.
They're not going to shoot. They can't do that.
Well, let's see. Is it still going? We're back? Okay. Yes, I see myself. Twitch is still all black for me, but hey, you know, 1 out of 2 ain't bad. Yeah, that brought poor computer down to his knees, crying in agony. But hey, look, I got a newly Dynameshed skin, and I don't think I lost any detail, so good to go as far as I can tell. Let me check. One of these guys. Here we go. Dashboard. Okay, so according to this, my YouTube and Twitch stream are both going. So that's cool. Good to know that recovery is capable, although I still only see black on Twitch. Let's see. Can you guys see anything? Malkin, my birthday was exactly as uneventful as I hoped it would be. I skipped leg day at the gym, and I ate candy. That was my birthday. We watched, I had a burger for dinner, so burger and fries. So I did an unusual amount of carbs and sugar, and we watched Austin Powers for some reason. I'm trying to remember why. I think my son was talking about Shrek, and that made me think of Mike Myers, and then that made me think of Austin Powers and how funny I thought it was back when I first saw it, you know, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. And then I was like, that's a funny movie, I should watch that again. And then we watched it, and it was like, it had some funny parts. I think, sadly, because I've seen all 3 of them, I was mixing all the funniest parts from 3 movies into one, and so it was like much less funny than I expected it to be. Damon says, lost the music, not sure about video, still only listening. Okay, I'm going to try, let's see what happens if I refresh this Twitch. Do I get video? I get black with a white line. Okay. That's okay. Actually, I've been going, wow, 2 hours, 40 minutes. That's probably a good amount for today anyway. You know, I got a lot more itty bitty bumpy wumpies all over him, and that was my goal. And yeah, so I think I'll pick up on this later. Maybe by Wednesday I'll be at the point where I can actually do some stuff in my garage. Maybe not. Depends on how much tech help I get from my buddy. And yeah. So if you guys haven't done this yet, go to Breath of Life Art Studio on Facebook and like my Facebook page. That'd be cool. Let's see, here it is, Breath of Life Art Studio. Look at all these cool pictures you can see if you go there.